Hi and welcome to the channel. I'm just going to do a quick video today on the South African budget that we had um, towards the end of April, towards the end of February. Okay, we're now in March. We're not in April yet. Okay, so we had our budget, and it was in general a fairly positive budget. What happened before the budget? There was talking about we might have to pay an extra 20 billion or whatever, but they managed to raise more taxes, which is a very good thing. If we could widen the tax base, it would be even better. Then more people contributing, because unfortunately at this stage there's only a fraction of the population contributing. So obviously everybody contributes indirectly through things like VAT, and there's a lot of taxes that you use when you buy VAT, VAT, and obviously when you put petrol in, you pay VAT, you pay taxes on the petrol. So this is how the government make their money, and then obviously through PAYE when you earn, they earn tax on that. So the money they get in, they're getting better at collecting, and they're obviously trying to reduce the spending. And yeah, it seems positive at this stage. So now we, unfortunately, with the rand, the rand has been very strong, weakened very slightly recently, but it's a lot stronger than it was a couple of months ago. And one of the reasons, obviously, the money coming into the country, obviously, a lot of gold and stuff, and money coming into the South African economy, which is good for the JSE. The JSE's done rather well, but our valuations are actually still quite good. Haven't checked the PE ratio recently of the South African market, but I would guess that it's about half of the American market. Um, yeah, the American market's probably like high 20s, 27 probably, and then our market's probably about say maybe 15 or something. So yeah, so our market has a lot more to run. Okay, so yeah, so let's see what happens with our market against the others. But yeah, okay, so I'm not here to give any financial advice. I'm just here to give financial information and education. So okay, so that's a little bit about the rand. The consensus is that it will probably weaken over time. Although obviously, if money comes into the country, then the rand strengthens. So usually you see when the gold price is going up, the rand is strengthening. So yeah, it's up and down. Yeah, and obviously the oil price is going higher, so that'll cause higher. The higher oil price, obviously, it will translate from next month to a higher petrol price, and then unfortunately that makes inflation higher because all the prices go up. People deliver, they use petrol to deliver, so they up the costs, unfortunately. So yeah, hopefully that the crisis in the Middle East can come to an end, hopefully, and yeah, we can stabilize the oil price, and then like our petrol price. But anyway, talking about the budget, okay, back to the budget now. There was a few good things that happened. The one thing was they increased the tax-free savings limit from 36,000 a year to 46,000 a year. Now that's your annual limit. That's on contributions. And then I see there's a few people confused about how the tax-free savings account works when I've looked at a few other podcasts and I see the people's comments. So I'll just explain it to you. From now we're on the 3rd of March, so we're in the new tax year. The tax year runs, a company's tax year runs until, for example, some companies run till December, so it's 1st of January to the end of December. That's their tax year. SARS, and there's quite a few companies who actually run the same tax year from the 1st of March to the next year, end of February. So it's a 12-month period from the 1st of March. Okay. Now you can contribute any time between the 1st of March and then the next year, the 28th of February, or if it's a leap year, it's the 29th. But next year is not a leap year. So until the 28th of Feb, you can contribute. So you can contribute however much you want. You can contribute everything on the first day, everything on the last day, or anything in between. You can contribute everything on the middle of June. You can contribute half in the middle of June. You can contribute 1,000 Rand a month. You can contribute 3,000 Rand a month. For the new limit of 46,000, you would have to pay 3,800 and something Rand per month to come to the maximum. But obviously, when you go to your account, it will actually tell you how much you've got left, and obviously don't go over the limits. So that's your annual limit, okay? And it can be paid in any time you want to in that tax period. When it comes to the 1st of March, then that cuts off, and then you've got a new tax period. Then your contribution starts from 0 again for the annual limit, and then it contributes. Then you've got a lifetime limit. Now the lifetime limit is 500,000, so that wasn't increased. I'm hoping that can be increased maybe next year, next tax year or the year after, hopefully to 750 or 500,000, or to 1 million if possible, but even 750 is good, because they're saying that people haven't reached that limit yet. And that is true, because obviously you're only allowed to, you've got an annual limit, you've had an annual limit of lower. So if someone started 10 years ago, they had a limit of 30, then it was 33, then it was 36. If they've been paying the max, they won't be anywhere near the 500,000 limit, lifetime limit. So I think they'll be on 300 and something thousand if they have, which is obviously a very good thing. Yeah, I started 2 years ago, but better late than never. And you have to pay. So what they've done now is they've increased that limit now. So now you can put 46,000, which is excellent. Okay, so you can put in your contribution. If you contribute 46,000 during that tax year, and you make a withdrawal, or even if you put, let's say you put 20,000 and then you withdraw 10,000 out. Okay, so your net contributions are 10,000. You can't contribute, so if you pay 10,000, you can't pay another 36,000 in. It doesn't work like that. Once you've contributed 20,000, and you withdraw 10,000, then it's not like you've contributed 10,000, which net you have, but you've actually contributed 20,000, okay, because you put in 20,000, you took out 10. So they'll take that 20,000, and if you add another 26, then you're at 46. You see what I'm saying? So if you withdraw amount, it affects your limit that you pay in. If you pay in 36,000 and withdraw 30,000, if you draw in, let's say you're paying 46,000, then you draw 10,000 out. You've paid in your 46,000 limit, even though you've withdrawn 10,000 and your net is less. It doesn't matter. You've paid in your 46,000 contributions. So that's what they look at. Your total contributions for the year is what you've paid in. So as soon as you've paid that total, you're not allowed to pay more in. Okay, yeah, just to explain how that works. So it sounds complicated, but it's quite easy. You're allowed to pay that, and any withdrawals doesn't come off your limit. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so yeah, they also made an increase to the tax brackets. In other words, the amount that we've got brackets going up for your tax rates. So you got your minimum from 0 to a certain amount, and then it goes up until it goes 45%. 45% is what they call your marginal rate. So if you earn over a certain amount, I think something like 1.8 million, then you pay 45% on the amount you earn over that amount. Your average rate will be a lot less, well, possibly a lot less than that. So yeah, so it's what they call bracket creep. So in other words, what happens if you get an increase every year? Let's say you get a good increase every year. That increase will actually make you earn more, and that will push you sometimes into a higher marginal tax bracket. But now what they've done is they've lifted the brackets higher, so you need to earn a higher amount before you start paying tax and before you actually pay. If it sort of covers inflation. So in other words, the brackets they've changed, but they haven't changed in a few years. So hopefully they can do this now annually, every year. They can look at increasing the brackets like they used to do a little while ago. Yeah, because obviously inflation is a reality, and it seems like inflation is a lot higher than they actually put the official inflation rate. So official inflation rate is like 3.5% or something, and it seems much higher. But anyway, so yeah, and then the government also said about the limits, that if people have got to 500, they're doing well. True, they are doing well, but the thing is, if they keep the limit at 500,000, then people will still be a burden on the state when they retire, because that 500 limit, maybe your money grows more to say 750, or maybe you're in a million. But a million is not a lot of money these days. With inflation, it's becoming less and less and less. So you need to live off that. And even a million is on the 4% rule, you get 40,000 a year, which is not much. When you have to pay medical costs, medical aid and stuff, and you have to eat. So yeah, no, it's I'm hoping that they do lift the limit in the next year or two to 750 maybe, and then in the next 5 to 10 years lift it to maybe a million. And then yeah, if you can pay in a million and you can grow your money to, let's say, it depends when you start. Obviously, if you start young at 20 or 19, or even when you're born, your parents start one for you or whatever, then your money's got longer to compound. So the longer your money compounds, the better you're going to do. Obviously, if you're starting later in life, like in your 50s, like for example, then obviously you've got less time to compound, but you can still grow your money. If you pay in a million, it'll take you quite a few years to pay it in, and you can hopefully grow that nest egg to 2 million or possibly even 3 million, and then that gives you a good monthly income. You can generate a good monthly income from that money. So yeah, not tax advice at all. Okay. Oh, the other thing is the taxes on petrol was 21. It works out at 21 cents, and the petrol's going up 20 cents. But that's obviously, petrol would have been probably then down 1 cent, but the taxes are actually pushing it up this month. Next month we've got the higher oil price, so we probably going to pay a lot more next month. Yeah, and the other thing is the capital gains tax. They've increased that. You've got an annual exclusion of it used to be 40,000. They've increased that to 50,000, which is a very good thing, because now how it works, let's say you buy shares or any asset and you sell it. There are some things that's excluded, but let's say you buy shares and then you sell a few years later and you make a profit. If you make a 50,000 capital gain, then that is excluded, because the exclusion is 50,000. If you make 100,000 capital gain, there's 50,000 exclusion, so they only tax you on the capital gains on 50,000. They take that 50,000 and then they take 40% of that, and then they tax you at your marginal rate on that. So the capital gains rates aren't too bad. It's a lot lower than your normal income usually, especially if you're a high income earner. So that's a very good thing, to lift it from 40 to 50. And also they increase the limits on the retirement annuity. It's still 27.5% that you're allowed to pay of your income, but for the higher earners, if they're paying, it's the lower of 27.5%, or the amounts of, it used to be 350, they've made that now 430. So they've increased that quite a bit. So in other words, it enables them to pay more tax in, to pay more in, and then obviously claim tax against that. So it's, as a retirement annuity and pension and stuff, is tax deductible. So in other words, what they do is they take that off. So it's that's a wonderful thing for it to grow, for that limit to grow. Yeah, so excellent stuff. So wonderful. I'm going to go into depth maybe on some of the stuff. I'll yeah, and if you've got any questions on the budget or how it affects you or whatever, you're welcome to ask me, and I can likely do another video on that. Um, but yeah, in general, it was a good positive budget for the normal South African. Okay, thank you. And again, it's not financial advice, and yeah, but I say stay invested. You know, the market's very volatile at the moment. You're seeing the oil prices spike. You're seeing the market's up and down. Uh, stay invested. Look for This is the time to look for bargains when prices drop. Um, yeah, that's what I do. So yeah, but stay in for the long run. In the long run, the market usually outperforms everything. So yeah, that's it. Just stay on course. Thanks and good night. And like and subscribe. Like and subscribe, I should say.